Greetings, friend, and welcome. Today we are in John chapter 3, taking a look at the second half of this paragraph, comparing our Latin text to the Greek to see how well the Latin does. Let's go ahead and get started. Actually, first, let's pull over verse 31 through 33 of the Latin. Okay, so I have, by the time that we're finally done doing Contextus Rex, finally taken on the habit of writing errors in red. These, however, do not count because when it and its ilk can either be present or perfect, and we just determined from the Greek that these are supposed to be present, so that's fine. We went with the perfect present perfective sense of vidit, so that's not an error either. Nemo, that's just me misremembering that nemo is masculine, feminine, or neuter, but we wrote down neuter. And here is the only error that we have so far. Accipit, this should be a perfect tense, but it is a present in form. So that is the one error the Latin has for this paragraph so far. Now, how does it look here? Masculine singular, for who the God sent, aorist tense. For whom God sent, perfect tense. So those two match up. Those are also correct. Good. He says or he speaks in the present tense the plural words of God. He speaks in the present tense the plural words of God. Good, good. For he gives the Spirit without measure. And we've got a present tense, and this one we went with the present indicative rather than the present subjunctive because that's what makes most sense for the clause. Spirit is singular, measure is singular. For, not to measure, ou ek metron. So we've got odd instead of ek here. And I don't know that there's too big of a difference of meaning behind that. Besides, this is, I think, kind of a colloquial phrase in Greek that neither Latin nor English can quite replicate. But the idea should be relatively similar between the two. So dot there is present tense to match that. Singular and singular. Good, good. The Father loves, third singular, present active indicative, the Son. Father, present active indicative, the Son. Good. And all things or everything in the Greek, we have both the singular and the plural as optional answers for what this is. In Latin, we've only got the plural, so that's fine. It doesn't really change from what the Greek. Jerome would have seen this, and he, being from the time and from the culture and actually having language as his first language, he would have a better idea of how to understand the Greek. So Jerome's probably correct that the plural was intended, but it still works either way in English. Has given, perfect tense, gave or has given, in hand his, okay. In hand of him, singular. Those work so far so good. Moving on to verse 36. The one believing in the Son has life. This is a present active participle, and this is a present indicative. Who believes in Son has life. We've got present active indicative with a relative pronoun, which is the same essentially as a participle, so that's good. Into Son, we've got plus accusative. Into Son, we have plus accusative, so those two match. This is present tense, just like a K, so that's good. Life singular, good. Eternal life. And we're but the one disobeying or disobedient to the Son. So this is another present active participle. And here we have however or but who is unbelieving in the Son. And incredulous, that has a different meaning from apathon, so they don't match already in what they mean. And then incredulous is, and admittedly I haven't looked this up in a dictionary yet, so there's going to have to be a note here with any possible corrections. As you would have seen last week, I don't have my dictionaries with me right now, unfortunately. So meaning is different, and they also appear to be in a very, very different form. However, we have a relative clause with est. Now, if this is in fact the fourth principal part of a verb, then these two match, or at least in sense. This is present tense, but if this is just an adjective, then this matches better because est is present, but with this is the fourth principal part of the verb, it would technically become perfect. All right, so I'm not going to go any further with that, except noting that unbelieving and incredulous are wrong. Now, technically, there are certain words in Latin, as there are certain words in Greek, that have a primary meaning, but in certain context or paired with certain other words have a different meaning. Like eke can have the meaning of necessity in certain situations, especially I think with the infinitive. So credo in Latin might be another such word. Okay, let's move on. Oh, we had dative son, will not see future tense life, will not see future tense life, good. But the wrath of the God, present tense on him, with epi. But wrath or anger of God, present tense, onto or over him. So epi and super, I don't know how similar they really are. Normally I would think that super is closer to hupo, but at least the idea is similar. Good. On him, as epi says, and then super can mean onto, or can have a very similar meaning to epi. So there's not a one-to-one correlation in the meaning here as far as I can tell, but it's not too bad. And that ends verse 36 in this entire paragraph. So from the previous section, we have a present tense when a perfect tense makes more sense. And then here we have incorrect meaning with a possible perfect passive when we don't want a perfect passive. But perfect passive is unlikely because of the ool right there. That really makes me think that it's not. So only 2 errors for the Latin. So then this section is actually done pretty well. Not as well as other sections. I think were I to grade this by itself, I would probably give it an A minus, maybe, A minus of my made-up grade. But then taking a look at all of chapter 3 so far, we have, I've got my note here, verses 1 through 21. They had minimal errors altogether. Verses 22 through 24, I never wrote down, so I don't clearly remember, but I think it was probably without errors altogether. 25 through 30, very, very few errors. So I think overall chapter 3 of the Latin gets my completely fabricated grade of A minus. And there we have it. Thank you very much for joining me on this last Contextus Rex video. I hope taking a look at all of this has been very helpful for you, and I hope that you have a good day. Farewell.
Hey, not asleep yet? That's okay, I've got tons of other equally sleep-inducing videos for you to watch. Check them out.